The Psychiatrist. In the small, secluded town of Pine Hollow, whispers of a mysterious child psychiatrist began to circulate. Dr. Jonathan Wolfe, a man of enigmatic presence and peculiar methods, had recently moved into an old, Gothic mansion on the outskirts of town. His reputation preceded him. Parents desperate to find solutions for their troubled children sought his expertise. His promise was simple yet unsettling. I can cure your child, but I need a vial of their blood. Parents who visited Dr. Wolfe's eerie mansion were greeted by the man himself, tall, thin, with a pallor that made him seem almost ghostly. His piercing blue eyes bore into the souls of those who dared to meet his gaze. The mansion's interior was no less ominous. Ancient portraits adorned the walls, and the air was thick with the scent of old books and incense. Sarah and Mark Thompson were among the first to seek Dr. Wolfe's help for their son, Timmy. Timmy had been plagued by night terrors and increasingly erratic behavior, causing his parents great distress. Desperation led them to the mansion, where Dr. Wolfe welcomed them with an unsettling smile. In his dimly lit office, Dr. Wolfe listened intently as the Thompsons described Timmy's symptoms. He nodded slowly, his eyes never leaving theirs. "I can help your son," he said finally, "but I need a vial of his blood. It will allow me to understand his affliction and devise the proper treatment." The Thompsons exchanged uneasy glances, but ultimately agreed, driven by their love for their son. Dr. Wolfe produced a sleek, black case and carefully extracted a vial of Timmy's blood. As he did, a strange glint appeared in his eyes, but the parents were too concerned for their child to notice. Days turned into weeks, and the Thompsons noticed a gradual change in Timmy. His night terrors subsided, and his behavior became more stable. Overjoyed, they returned to Dr. Wolfe to express their gratitude, but the mansion seemed even more foreboding than before. The news of Timmy's improvement spread quickly through Pine Hollow. Other parents, drawn by hope and desperation, flocked to Dr. Wolfe's mansion. Each left behind a vial of their child's blood, and each saw miraculous changes in their children's behavior. However, not all was as it seemed. Rachel, a single mother, began to notice strange changes in her daughter, Emily, who had been treated by Dr. Wolfe. Emily's eyes seemed to change color at times, flickering between her natural hazel and a deep, unnatural black. She began speaking in a language Rachel couldn't understand, her voice taking on a hollow, echoing quality. Rachel's suspicions grew, and she decided to investigate Dr. Wolfe. She reached out to other parents who had visited the mansion, only to find they had also noticed peculiar changes in their children. Driven by fear and determination, Rachel and a small group of parents returned to the mansion to confront Dr. Wolfe. Dr. Wolfe greeted them with his usual calm demeanor, but the parents were not deterred. "What have you done to our children?" Rachel demanded, her voice trembling with anger. Dr. Wolfe sighed, a shadow passing over his face. "I did what was necessary to help them," he replied cryptically. Unconvinced, Rachel and the others pushed past him and began to search the mansion. They discovered a hidden door in the basement, leading to a dark, underground chamber. The air was thick with an unidentifiable stench, and the walls were lined with shelves of vials filled with blood, each labeled with a child's name. In the center of the chamber stood a large, ornate altar covered in strange, glowing symbols. Rachel felt a chill run down her spine as she realized the blood vials were connected to the symbols via thin, pulsating tubes. It was as if the blood was being siphoned for some dark ritual. Dr. Wolfe appeared behind them, his eyes now glowing with an eerie blue light. "You shouldn't have come here," he said, his voice echoing unnaturally. "The blood of the innocent is a powerful conduit. It allows me to harness their fears and shape them into obedience." The parents recoiled in horror as Dr. Wolfe's form began to shift and distort, revealing a grotesque, otherworldly being. "You sought help for your children, and I delivered," he hissed. But there is always a price to be paid. Rachel, her resolve hardening, grabbed one of the vials and hurled it at the altar. The glass shattered, and the blood within began to sizzle and smoke. Dr. Wolf let out a howl of rage, his form flickering like a malfunctioning hologram. The parents seized the opportunity, smashing vial after vial. Each one destroyed caused Dr. Wolf more pain, his power waning with every broken container. The glowing symbols on the altar began to fade, and the pulsating tubes shriveled and died. With a final, desperate scream, Dr. Wolf lunged at Rachel, but she grabbed the last vial, her daughter Emily's, and crushed it in her hand. The blood spilled onto the altar, and Dr. Wolf disintegrated into a cloud of ash and smoke, his terrible power finally broken. The underground chamber began to collapse, and the parents fled the mansion, barely escaping as the structure caved in on itself. In the aftermath, they watched as the once magnificent mansion crumbled into ruins, taking Dr. Wolf's dark secrets with it. Back in Pine Hollow, the children slowly began to return to their normal selves. The strange behaviors and eerie changes faded, leaving behind only fragmented memories of their time under Dr. Wolf's influence. The town, though scarred by the ordeal, began to heal. Rachel and the other parents vowed to keep a close watch over their children, ensuring no harm would come to them again. The story of Dr. Jonathan Wolf and his sinister methods became a cautionary tale in Pine Hollow, a reminder of the darkness that can lurk behind even the most benevolent facades. The town moved on, but the chilling memory of the mysterious child psychiatrist would never be forgotten.
Dear viewers, if you like to watch the scariest horror stories, do subscribe, like and share our channel. Thank you.